All right, it is the perfect time to hit the grill, and we have a master with us today, Chef Rick Moonen, who is currently with Perry's Steakhouse.
Yeah, I'm their master development chef.
Yes, he's also known, he's not going to tell you, but I'm going to tell you, he's known as the godfather of seafood. He's here to show us how to make sure you don't mess it up.
Don't mess it up. Well, we got the 4th of July right around the corner, and it's totally grilling season. So I'm going to show you how to cook the perfect ribeye steak.
Okay.
It's the #1 method that we use at Perry's restaurants, steakhouses all around. And we're grilling. We're just grill masters. First thing you have to do is pick a heat source. Right? Whether it's wood, whether it's charcoal, whether it's a griddle pan such as I have here, you want it to be really, really hot. That's important. And you want it to be clean. How do you make sure it's clean? You use a grill brush. And if you don't have that, you can get off the old charcoal bits by just using a piece of aluminum foil. That works just as well too. Then you want to lubricate it. We're going to get back to that in a second. Pick out a great piece of meat. This is a prime.
How do you know it's a great piece of meat?
When you see these white lines going through there like that, those all melt down internally, basting it as it's cooking. That's marbling. And that's a USDA prime when you see a lot of that going on. That's what you want. So you want to season it. Now, it could be seafood as well. You look at the thickness. If it's a thin piece of meat, you're going to season it differently than a thick piece. You're going to be a little bit more heavy on the seaning when it's a larger piece of meat. So
what are you using there? Just a little sea salt?
Salt and pepper. That's kosher salt and pepper. You can use sea salt as well, but I use sea salt usually for finishing. Flip it over, do both sides. And see how generous I'm being? It was like, oh no, too much salt. No, that's what makes your mouth water.
You can't have enough seasoning. You can never have too much seasoning.
That's right. So now you have that room temperature, at least a half an hour out. You don't want it to be too cold. It's a muscle. When it hits the heat, it shrinks, starts pushing the juices around. You want the juices to, you got to control that. So we can put a little bit of oil on that pan, or you can just spray it. If it's not an open flame, you can just use a little spray. That's just fine. Keep it from sticking. And you want to hear that sizzle. Lightly press it down.
It's like music to my ears right there.
Indeed. And then you just leave it alone. Don't be messing around with it too much. You want carbon lines to form, and that's what allows it to release. That carbon is just a natural, non-stick surface. So leave it alone. Get your nice color on there, and while that's happening, I'm going to show you a couple of things that we're featuring at Perry's Steakhouse right now. This is our symphony kebab.
This looks amazing.
And this is a drama. You have 2 beautiful pieces of shrimp, a cold water lobster tail, and a filet mignon. Cooked to your liking, cut in half, served with a peppercorn sauce and a truffle merlot sauce and some beautiful asparagus. That is just high class. That's high class, and that's fun. Over here, we got our strip steak with our king crab leg and some truffle butter, and a piece of grilled salmon on a cauliflower puree with some lemon dill butter. Butter's always good with everything. If you
it goes well with everything.
There's a common theme going on here, you know. And so you want your steaks to just get some good color. Now, after a little while, it's been really high. You can kind of peek. Ooh, that's nice.
That is pretty.
So if you want to really get the fancy, then you just turn it 45 degrees the opposite way, in sort of a new area on the pan, because it's hotter. Creates that sear.
That's how you get those pretty lines, right?
That's exactly right. Now, if you're cooking seafood, for instance, and you're like, oh no, I want to cook salmon, but I'm afraid it's going to stick. A really good tip is rub it with some mayonnaise. Mayonnaise is primarily oil. Sounds weird. Of course it sounds weird, but it's going to stick very well to the seafood. When you put it on the grill, it stays there longer, creates those lines, allows it to release. And if you put some seasoning in there, a little Tabasco, a little dill, a little lemon into the mayonnaise, mix it up, put it on, then you're going to end up with that coating the outside of your perfectly cooked seafood item. Wow,
I bet you guys didn't know that tip. That's a great tip right there.
So, I think that, now, as far as Austin, we have a brand new Perry's Steakhouse.
You do, in the Domain North Side.
That's right, Domain North Side. So come on down, dine outside, al fresco. I mean, go to Bar 79. We're celebrating all year long our 40th year anniversary. Started in 1979 as a little butcher shop. That's right, that's right.
In my hometown.
That's right. Now, here we go. A nice little flip. You got your good grill marks. You see all that sizzle going on there, the perfect seasoning. And you can
I know, it smells so good.
I just kind of feel like having a beer right now. That's like grilling, beer, somehow, I don't know what it is, how it got connected, but I just want to thank that person, whoever did that. So you cook this to your degree of doneness the way you like it. You want to be safe, you put a thermometer in there in the center. If you want medium rare, 125, take it off. It continues to cook. It has cooking momentum. There's some heat. There's a lot of heat on the outside of that. So that heat's still moving it around, but all the juices are getting a chance because they get pushed to the middle. when you cook it. Now as it's resting, the juices go back into the entire muscle, so it it goes in your mouth and not on the cutting board or the plate.
Gotta let it rest though.
And to enhance it, put a little steak butter on there. You can make your own steak butter. You know, with a little bit of lemon juice, butter, parsley. You can put some cheeses in there, blue cheese, Parmesan cheese, you know, just garlic, of course, a little bit of garlic, and seasoning salt. And then you put that on top, it melts over the top, you cut your steak, and you really doesn't need anything else. And of course, if all this just seems like it's such a hassle, you can always come to any location of Perry's Steakhouse.
Let the pros do it for you.
Oh, yeah.
All right, well, we are getting ready to go back in. I think this steak is almost about done, so I'm going to enjoy this while we send it back to commercial break, and we'll be right back with the rest of the show after this.
Thanks.